Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr, and this is going to be Reverse Image Part 1. And here we go. Jim Patrickson hadn't expected an unusual day. It was just another dull day under coronavirus. He'd been laid off as the bookkeeper from the metal fabrication shop. The owner, Mr. Farley, said that business was down and he would take over those duties. There was a chance that they might need him again if business picked up, but with COVID raging and the nonsensical making sure it would stay that way, he was out of work. He made sure his unemployment was updated, and he did look for work, but there was none to be found. So the days came and went with little variation. He stared at his phone all day like it was his food and oxygen. He went to the bathroom. He sat on the toilet, which was in a little nook in the bathroom across from the sinks and the mirror. Though he had his phone on his lap, he was bored and found himself looking at his reflection in the mirror. He looked tired. His hair had become more and more a COVID cut, but since he refused to see a hairdresser until there was a vaccine. Let me do that again. He looked tired. His hair had become more and more a COVID cut since he refused to see a hairdresser until there was a vaccine. He hadn't had long hair since college, but was close to having it again. He also hadn't shaved in a few days. He probably stank, but since he was the only one he ever saw, it hardly mattered. He was pinching his pennies so hard he wasn't buying delivery or takeout food. He showered before he went to the grocery store every few days out of some habit of civilization that his loneliness had not yet squeezed out of him. His few friends were all online, and he hadn't dated in over a year before the virus. He knew on some basic level that he must be depressed or have some other mental condition, but he was too exhausted to care. The image in the mirror looked back. But something was off. He looked closely. Then he decided not to blink for a while and figure it out. The guy in the mirror blinked. Holy crap, Jim thought. I didn't blink without realizing it, did I? He kept looking. The mirror man blinked again. This time, Jim was sure he hadn't blinked. He jumped up. He'd been so distracted he hadn't done anything needing toilet paper yet, and waddled to the sink with his pants around his ankles. "Hey!" he yelled, unnecessarily. His image mouthed back the word "hey" at him, silently. Jim knew something was wrong. This was just his mirror image again. But he was sure something had happened. He spent the day constantly going back to the mirror. He even found himself staring whenever he noticed his reflection, in windows, in his phone's screen, in his drinking glass, even the upside-down one in his spoon. None of them moved without him. Part of him became scared. What if this was some spirit, some ghoul, which could catch him, devour him, steal his place, perhaps when he was asleep? He didn't sleep. Not for 2 days. He spent long hours on his toilet, staring at his own eyes until his ass hurt from the hard seat. He did this for so long he began to suspect he had hallucinated the whole thing. But just when he had convinced himself it was all in his head, it happened again. His image blinked when he did not. He looked. He stared. It blinked again. It was the strangest feeling. The image in the mirror was always him, just a duplicate, doing exactly what he did. If it wasn't a duplicate, it was something else entirely. What was it? "Who are you?" Jim asked aloud, slow and clear. The mirror mouthed back at the same time. Jim tried lifting one hand in front of him, then the other. His image did likewise. Jim looked down, then back. The image did the same, so far as he could tell. He stood up, and it stood up. Jim decided to try something else. He blinked again on purpose. But as far as he could tell, his image was doing it exactly when he was. Then he tried winking. The image winked as well. He tried something else. He told his image silently inside his mind to blink. The image blinked. Blinked when Jim had not. He told it to wink. And it did. Jim became excited. Open your mouth, he told it, and it did. Can you hear me? Jim asked it. It nodded. Can you do what I ask you to? It shrugged. Can you talk? It opened its mouth, but Jim couldn't hear anything. I can't hear you. It shrugged again with a wistful turn of its mouth. Are you me? Again, a shrug. Can you talk to me as I am to you? The image paused for a moment. Can you hear me? Jim heard inside his head. Yes, Jim said silently. Yes, I can hear you. Great, his image said. This is much more fun. I agree, Jim said. How long have you been different from me? I thought images were always just, images. I'm not sure, he heard. I don't remember anything before 2 days ago. So just that long, I suppose. Do you know everything I know? Jim asked. Your mom's name is Tracy, and you've lived in this place since you got the job as the bookkeeper. It was your first real job after getting your degree. That's right, Jim said. So in a weird way, I guess you're still me? Or were you me and now you're someone separate? Or did you just become someone 2 days ago? His image just shrugged. Is this weird to you? Jim asked. His image nodded. I think, Jim said, that you are me, or were me at least. Now I suppose you're your own person. Okay, his image thought back at him. I wonder if things will change, Jim said. Like, if I need to shave, will I be able to accurately? I don't want to force you to live my life. I don't know how this works, his image thought back. Can you move? Jim asked. I mean, more than just a shrug or a nod. Can you move your hands independently? Can you move around the bathroom? I can try, his image thought. And it did. And that feeling was otherworldly. Everything else in the mirror was exactly like it was in his bathroom, but his image moved to the left, and there was no one in the mirror in front of him. He walked forward. There was no image of him moving forward towards the sink. A shiver ran down his arms. In the mirror, his image was looking back at him, off to the side. Just hold there for a moment, please, Jim said. His image nodded. Jim picked up his electric toothbrush off the counter. Looking at his hand, he could see it. Solid, cool, plastic. In the mirror, though, it was floating in midair. No version of him there to pick it up. What happens if you pick the toothbrush up? Jim asked. His image moved forward until it was in front of him, extended its hand, and suddenly it felt like his mirror image again. Strange, Jim said. Yes, his image nodded. Can you do anything on your side that will affect things on my side? He asked. I don't know, his image replied. Jim and his image put down the toothbrush. Try picking up the toothbrush, Jim said. His image moved its hand down and seemed to grab the toothbrush, but nothing happened. Very interesting, Jim said. Yes, his image agreed by nodding. And that's the end of the story for this week. Obviously, this one's going to continue. Hope you're enjoying it. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, CryptoBiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and music, copyright 2020, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.